We're live. I'm back. It's Thursday, May the 30th. I'm a little bit pissed. There's a topic that kind of pisses me off all the time, and I have to talk about this. I've talked about it before, but I'm just going to dedicate a video to it. Yeah, first principle. First thing you got to understand. Everyone has to understand this. The fossil fuel industry is not the problem. The fossil fuel industry is not the problem with regards to global heating. And you'll say, how is that even possible? How could you say something like that? Because it's true. It's true. They're not. They're not the problem. The fossil fuel industries and all the energy companies and all the corporations around that work around this, and the banks, and even the governments for that matter, and the subsidies and all this other stuff. It's not the problem. This is not the problem. None of this is the problem. And in fact, pumping the oil out of the ground is not the problem. Sending the oil to the refineries to be turned into gasoline and diesel is not the problem. That's not the problem. And you're sitting there thinking, how can you say such a thing? I'm unsubscribing. I'm running away from this message right now. This guy's completely bonkers. He's insane. He's been a shill for the oil industries this entire time. I thought he had something to say that was valid. Now he's giving me this bullshit that the fossil fuel industry isn't the problem. They're not the problem. And the fact that you think that they are the problem, it just tells me that you haven't been thinking very clearly. Lots of people aren't thinking very clearly. But this is not complicated. You just don't want to hear it. Who's the problem? You just don't want to hear it, do you? And you're not going to hear it. And you're going to go, la, 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 I can't hear you. And you're going to run away and you're going to unsubscribe. And okay, I'm here to tell you who's the problem. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. All right? Root cause analysis. What's the problem? The problem with global heating is that the world is getting hot. Duh. But it has to be said, okay? The problem with global heating is that the world is getting hot. It's heating up. Duh. Yeah, okay. Well, let's start with that. Why is the world heating up? Because of the greenhouse effect. Which is a perfectly natural thing. We're happy to have it. Without it, the earth would be freezing all the time. But it's not freezing because of the greenhouse effect. And we like it. It's been very useful. It's made the world habitable for humans, and it's a good thing. But we're enhancing the greenhouse effect. Who's we? I'll get to that in a moment. We're enhancing the greenhouse effect until the world is heating up as a consequence. We're making the greenhouse effect more. We're making more greenhouse effect, and the earth is heating up as a consequence. That's physics. That's all that is. No corporations have to be named in this process. No governments have to be pointed to and say, it's your problem. No countries have to be pointed to what are you doing? You're enhancing the greenhouse effect. You have to stop doing that. That's not what we do here, okay? The greenhouse effect is being enhanced, and it's leading to a warming of the planet. How are we doing so far? You with me? How do you enhance the greenhouse effect? Who's doing that? Well, you enhance the greenhouse effect by increasing the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere. It used to be about 200, 250 parts per million, and right now it's about 426 or so, depending on who you talk to. That's a lot. That's almost double, right? And if you double the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere, however you do that, we'll get to that in a minute, then you increase the greenhouse effect, and that heats the planet. And all these things are happening. So where does the CO2 come from? Such that the CO2 in the atmosphere has gone from 250 parts per million to closer to 450 parts per million. How'd that happen? Well, that happened because someone set fire to a carbon-rich resource. And specifically, I'm going to talk about here, fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are fossil trees and algae and a bunch of other things that were rich carbon sources that got buried in the ground and mineralized. Coal, oil, and natural gas. These are the vernacular terms for these fuels that when we discovered them, we started digging them up and setting them on fire. We realized these are really useful. And we have found a billion, trillion, thousand ways that we can set them on fire and get the energy out and use the energy. And sometimes we just convert them into fertilizers and use them that way. And sometimes we convert them into hydrogen and use them that way. And there's 1,000 billion trillion ways that you can use these fossilized carbon sources. And we've discovered all the ways. And we keep digging them up and setting fire to them, releasing the carbon into the atmosphere, which enhances the greenhouse effect, which leads to global heating. And then you're going to say, yeah, the corporations are doing that. No, they're not. They're not doing that. What does ExxonMobil do? They're a fossil fuel company. What do? All right, they go out and they find a reservoir of crude oil in the ground, deep under the ground. It's, miles under the ground, right? Under the sea, under the ground. It's way, way down there. If you were out there with a shovel, you would never run across it. You wouldn't even know it's down there. So they go out there at great expense using a lot of technology, and they discover this stuff deep, 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 deep underground. And they put the wells in, and they draw it out, and they do all this stuff, and they put it in tankers, and they send it to the refineries, and it gets refined, and it gets turned into products. And does ExxonMobil then set those products on fire and release the CO2 in the atmosphere? Of course not. They sell those products. They're going to a lot of trouble at great expense, not just to pull up the carbon resources and set them on fire. Why would they do that? That's stupid. That would be retarded. They wouldn't be in business very long if that was their business. Dig this stuff up and set it on fire. No, they dig it up, they refine it, they turn it into useful products, and they sell it to people like you, like me. That's what they do. And that's called a business. They're in business. And they create these, they discover this resource, which they get practically for free. And then they turn it into useful products at some expense. And they sell those useful products to people who really want them. People really want these products. And they pay good money for them. And they're happy to pay the money. They'd like to pay less money, but that's their only complaint. That they would like to pay less money for this thing. Gasoline used to be 17 cents a gallon, 20 cents a gallon. And now, I remember when it went over $1 a gallon for the first time. And even the pumps, the gasoline pumps had to be re-engineered so they could show a 1 next to the 2 digits that used to be adequate. When it was pennies a gallon, you only needed 2 digits, right? And then one day it went up to $1 and they needed 3 digits. And now, of course, they do it all with digital displays, and they can show as many digits as they want. And eventually they'll be showing, values for the price of gasoline over $10. So they'll go one more to the left and they'll have 4-digit displays. That's neither here nor there, but that's our complaint, is the cost. No one complains that when they burn gasoline in their car, it emits CO2, and the CO2 goes in the atmosphere and it enhances the greenhouse effect. Nobody complains about that. They never crosses their mind. You'll be sitting at the service station and you'll be putting gas in your car and you'll be watching the thing tick over and you'll be looking at the price per gallon. Your only thought, if you have any thoughts at all about that whole thing, your only thought will be, wow, that's expensive. It used to be less than that. Maybe I could drive across town. Maybe Rotten Robbie's has cheaper gas. They sometimes do. Maybe I should just get a couple of gallons here and then get back in my truck and go to Rotten Robbie's. They're about 5 miles away, but it might be worth the drive. Just, they got to be cheaper than this. That's your entire thought process. Should I or should I not go to Rotten Robbie's to get cheaper gas? That's 100% of your thought process when you're putting gas in your truck. 100%. I don't blame the fossil fuel industry for pumping crude oil out of the ground. And I don't blame them for global heating. I just don't. And it wouldn't do me any good if I did. Because what would I want to do? What would I want to do about that? I would want to shut them down? I'd want to shut down ExxonMobil and Shell and all the others. Valero, and I just want to shut them down. Shut down their service stations. Shut down all that crude oil extraction. What are you talking about? Pull those leases for those offshore rigs. You take those rigs out of there. Pull all that. Forget that. And while you're at it, let's do something about the natural gas. Shut all that down. Get rid of it all. We don't need it. It's causing global heating. You think that's going to happen? You think anyone's going to want that? And it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Nobody wants that. Even the protesters, even the people who claim that they want that, don't want that. Exhibit 1. Peter Kalmus. My wife subscribes to, I don't know, she's on Twitter or X or whatever they call it. And Peter Kalmus tweeted something or excremented something or whatever it is. Here's what he's got. I want to point out 2 things which are dreadfully obvious to me. 2 things that are dreadfully obvious to Peter Kalmus. Peter Kalmus this is so pure. This is so clear to him. This is pure knowledge. Every thinking human on earth should know this. This is dreadfully obvious to him. Here are his two things that are dreadfully obvious to him. One, this is still just early stages of heat right now. It is. We've crossed 1.5 degrees C above a pre-industrial baseline that actually isn't pre-industrial, but that's what they're claiming. And I've been saying on several videos in my most recent videos that this is early days. It's just getting started. You haven't seen anything yet. The worst is yet to come. That's actually the title of one of my videos from, I don't know, last week. The worst is yet to come. That's true. And the worst can be absolutely horrific. But he said there's two things. I'll repeat the first one. This is still very early days in stages of heating. And the second point is, and the heat is caused by the fossil fuel industry, which is intentionally lying, distracting, and blocking action. The heat is not caused by the fossil fuel industry. The fossil fuel industry is selling a product that everyone is buying. So is Peter Kalmus. Now, you can blame the fossil fuel industry. That's narrative warfare. That's all that is. That's just narrative warfare. You're going to blame the fossil fuel industry. They know for a fact, they know as an absolute guaranteed, 100% guaranteed fact, no one is ever going to stop them. No one's ever going to stop the fossil fuel industry. Everybody needs the fuels. Everybody needs the gasoline. Their only complaint is the cost. That's it. It has to be there. They need to be able to fill up their car or their truck. And all your food is delivered to the store in great, huge trucks running on diesel. Every ounce of food that you eat today, tomorrow, the next day is delivered to your store by an 18-wheeler truck running on diesel. And that food may be coming from 10,000 miles away. We have food coming into America from all corners of the planet. Every single continent and most of the countries send us food. And we buy it at the store and we eat it. And that can't stop. If that ever stops, if the fuels ever stop, or even if the fuels get too expensive, if anything happens to the fuel supply, it's just going to be an absolute ruin. And that's why he says, that's why he has to blame the fossil fuel industry. He's not blaming the people who are actually doing this. The people who are actually doing this is the people who are buying the fuels. And that's him, and that's me, and that's you. Less me than you. I have a bicycle. I ride it. Most people who would watch this video don't even have a bicycle and would never ride it. I have a bicycle and I ride it and I do things with it. So I'm a little better off. Does Peter Kalmus have a bicycle? Does he walk? No, of course not. I can say that. I can say that with some confidence. Of course not. Nobody does. Nobody rides a bicycle. Unless they lost their license to a DUI or something like that they wouldn't even want to admit to. Global heating is physics. It's not caused by lies. It's not caused by distractions. Global heating is physics. It's caused by enhancements to the greenhouse effect by carbon emissions from people driving around in cars and airplanes and boats and shipping containers and all this other stuff. It all contributes, and power generation and everything else. All the things we have to have, all the things we have to do every single day, day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what's causing the carbon emissions. It's not being caused by the fossil fuel industry. Go ahead and blame them. That's fine. But they know as an ironclad fact, no one's ever going to go after the oil industries, ever. And Peter Kalmus isn't either. He'll blame them and their lies and their distractions and everything, but he wouldn't ever want anyone going after the fossil fuel industries. And this is the kind of hypocrisy I have to deal with all the fucking time. You people, you're either stupid or you're liars. So which is it? Pick them. Pick one. Pick one of the two. Either you're stupid or you're a bunch of liars. Because you think the fossil fuel industry is causing this problem. They're not. They're selling you a product that you can't live without and you would never want to see go away. And if anybody ever ever did anything to the fossil fuel industry that might raise the price of gasoline, you're going to storm the Capitol and set the White House on fire. You know you will. You know you will. No one's ever going to go after the fossil fuel industry. So they're an easy target. Oh, we have to do something about the fossil fuel industry, because you know when you say it, yeah, we gotta rein in those fossil fuel industries. We gotta rein in ExxonMobil and all those others. And you know when you say it that it's never going to happen, because it can't. If they ever get any pressure such that the price of gasoline and diesel goes up, people will lose their fucking minds. They'll lose their minds. Because it's all lies. The lies are not coming from the fossil fuel industry. They're coming from Peter Kalmus. And you. Every time you think you give a shit about global heating and climate change and anything else you want to refer to it as, no, you're lying. You don't care. You care about the price of gas at the pump. That's what you fucking care about. You can't fool me. I know what the fuck's going on. Yeah, you don't care. Bunch of liars. You're either stupid or you're hypocrites. Pick one. Either you really don't understand what's causing global heating, or you understand it and you're just hypocritical. But for me, it's survival. That's what everybody says. And I'll tell you something else that's going to be about survival. Is if this planet becomes uninhabitable due to the heat accumulation, you're going to die. You won't die from the price of gas. You won't die from the price of gas. You wouldn't die if the price of gas was $10 a gallon. You wouldn't die if the price of gas was $20 a gallon. It wouldn't kill you. You'd hate it, but it won't kill you. But howler monkeys are falling out of trees. It's 126 degrees in India, and yes, that can kill you. That can kill you. And I don't know how many, 22, 25. What's the death toll right now in the east and in the southeast due to these extreme storms? And they're going to have more of them today. And there's still 500,000 people without power in Texas, and there's a heat wave coming, and there's no electricity for these people, and some of those people are going to die. That shit can kill you. Okay, you want to talk about things that can kill you? Global heating can kill your ass. Global heating can kill your ass, and global heating can destroy your economy, and global heating can destroy your entire communities, and global heating can destroy your food supply, and global heating can destroy your lifestyle. Global heating can flood your rivers and grapefruit-sized hailstorms and tornadoes. Global heating can wreck you. Global heating will wreck you. It will wreck you. Price of gas cannot. It'll piss you off, and you'll become a libertarian, and you'll become a Republican and a GOP and MAGA, and you'll storm the Capitol and set fire to the White House. Yeah, all that but it's not going to kill you. It'll radicalize you, and you'll feel like your freedoms are being trampled on, and you'll buy an AR-15, but it's not going to kill you. It's just going to drive you insane. Well, that's easily done these days in America. And it's not the fossil fuel companies that are doing this. It's you. You go to the service station and you look at the fucking price of the gallon of gasoline, and you lose your fucking mind. No one did that. You did that. That was your decision. That when it goes over a certain point, you're going to lose your mind and you're going to become MAGA and vote for Donald Trump. Because maybe one day he muttered that the price of gas is too high. And you had that, boy, you remember that. You'll remember that to your dying day. You'll take that to your grave. That Donald Trump thought the price of gasoline was too high. Or some other political pundit or some other Fox News anchor or whatever. I mean, it's all monkey business. You're just a whole bunch of chimps. You're just a bunch of chimps playing monkey business. Meanwhile, global heating, that's physics. That shit's going to kill you. It's going to break you off. Global heating is going to break you off, ruin your life. It's going to kill you. Kill you, your family, everybody you know. Kill your whole community. Kill the horses, kill the goats, kill them all. That's what global heating is going to do. And you either don't have to run away in front of it like you'd be fleeing the Mongol horde. You either have to run away, abandon your property, abandon your truck, abandon your horses and your barns and your everything else, abandon your business, your community, your schools, your church, abandon, just run away. You're going to have to run away from it. Where are you going to go? I don't know. Start making your plans, I guess, because this shit's going to kill you. You're going to have to run away. You don't have to run away from the price of gas, and nor would you. You'll just storm the Capitol and set fire to the White House. That's what people are going to do. And Peter Kalmus will tell you, I'm sure he's a nice guy, I'm sure he's smart, but he's obviously stupid. This is still very early days and stages of heat, and the heat is caused by the fossil fuel industry, which is intentionally lying, distracting, and blocking action. What action do you want, Peter? What action do you want? Well, I know one thing you want. You want gasoline to be cheaper. But apart from that, what action do you want? What climate action do you actually, just please enumerate a couple of things. Give me a couple of bullet points. Give me some actionable things that I can actually go out there and do. What do you want done? I'll tell you one thing you don't want done. You don't want the fossil fuels to stay in the ground. But that is the source of your problem. And all the oil industries are doing is pulling them out of the ground for you. That's their whole contribution to the shit show, is they're pulling them out of the ground for you. We're finding them into gasoline and diesel, trucking it to the service stations, putting it in the pump, putting it in the ground with a pump on top of it, and you can go there anytime you want to. And your only question, the only thing you have to worry about, it's not availability, it's just the price. And that's what they're doing. That's what the fossil fuel industry is doing. And it doesn't matter if they ever lied about it. The climate science was there for everyone to read, everyone to deal with it. And Al Gore did a goddamn movie on it. And if they were lying to somebody, it was in the 1960s. Now we all know. And we have satellites in space, for fuck's sake. And the satellites are showing us that the ice is melting and that the record temperatures in the ocean. And every day we get a weather report about how many tornadoes landed in Oklahoma and all this heat in the Gulf of Mexico and all this disruption of the Earth dynamic system. The fossil fuel industry isn't lying about any of that. That's all public knowledge now. Everyone understands. We really understood after Al Gore did his movie. We understood after James Hansen gave testimony to Congress. That was like 50 years ago. Yeah, 40, 50 years ago. We've understood no one's lying anymore. No one's blocking action. Nobody wants action. Peter Kalmus doesn't want action because what action would it be? The only action that matters in terms of global heating is to stop burning fossil fuels. That's the action. That's the action. That's the entire fucking action. You stop burning fossil fuels. And it would help if you left them in the ground, although you don't have to. You can pull them out of the ground. You can fill up all the tanks and all the refineries, and you can even make the oil and the gasoline and the diesel from the oil. You can do all that work, but you just can't sell it. Pump it out of the ground, refine it, put it in trucks, put it on trailers, deliver it to the service stations, but turn the service stations off. Put locks on the hoses. The oil company could do all that stuff right up to the point that you put it in the tank of your car and set fire to it. Because that's the actual problem. You putting in the tank of your car and setting fire to it. Everything they do up to then is just allowing you to put the stuff in your tank of your car and set fire to it. It's you. It's you in your fucking car. And all the shit you do with your car, all the retarded shit people do in their cars. Driving their fat diabetic asses to Costco to get another case of Cheetos. Fuck me. What is wrong with you people? Peter Kalmus, you're a retard. No, you're either retarded or you're a hypocrite. Pick one. Because if he really believes that, then he's a chump. He's an idiot. Global heating is not caused by, this was his statement, not mine. Global heating is not caused by fossil fuel companies lying. They can lie all they want to. Global heating is physics, my dude. It's physics. And it's caused by enhancements to the greenhouse effect, which is caused by releasing CO2 into the atmosphere, which is caused by the combustion of fossil fuels, which is caused by you driving your fat ass to Costco for Cheetos. All right? Can we just be clear on this? Can we just clear this shit up? Because it's driving me nuts. Because everybody does this. He's not the only one that does this. Everybody does this. Everybody does this. My wife even does this. I have to correct her every goddamn time. Sorry, dear. It's not the fossil fuel companies. It's us. If we didn't buy their product and set fire to it, there wouldn't be any carbon dioxide releases into the atmosphere. But they pump it out of the ground. Well, they would stop pumping it out of the ground. If we didn't buy it, they would stop pumping it out of the ground. That's it. Done. We could solve this. Solve. I don't think we can solve this problem right now. The howler monkeys aren't happy with how we're solving this problem, but we could stop complicating the problem tomorrow. We won't, but we could. It's within our domain. It's in our wheelhouse. We could do this. We could simply just stop buying the fossil fuels, putting them in our vehicles and setting them on fire. We could do that. I mean, you could do that. You could take a vow today. You're never not going to drive another mile. You could give your car away to some charity somewhere. You could take it down to the wrecking yard and watch them destroy it. Yeah, you can't sell this anyway. I want to see you demolish it. Yep. It's in the crusher. It's been crushed. All right, good. Now it's scrap metal. Great. I'm done. And you could go home and buy yourself a bicycle. You could do that. That's just behavioral changes. And you could do that. You could stop contributing to the problem. You won't. Nobody will. And, the government's passed the Paris Climate Accords and everyone high-fived and kissed each other on the mouth. And they did all these things. And all the recommendations that came out of Paris were voluntary. Trump made a big deal. Trump, the chump, made a big deal. First day in office, he pulled America out of the Paris Climate Accords. Why? You could stay in them. It's all voluntary. You could have just said, it's all voluntary, so we're not going to do it, and stay in the Paris Climate Accords. You didn't have to go to all that trouble, pass a law and sign it with your big fat signature, and and you didn't have to do that. That was all just populism, completely unnecessary. It was always voluntary. Therefore, no one was going to do it because it's all voluntary. What's the point? And everyone's all happy with the Paris Climate Accords, and we're going to save ourselves. And me and a bunch of other people are pointing out, you're not going to do anything because it's all voluntary. You get to set your own goals, and you don't have to have goals at all. Or your goals can be that you're going to burn more fossil fuels. That could be your actual goal. Yes, I have a goal under the Paris Climate Accords. I'm going to double my fossil fuel consumption. That's a goal. And it's also voluntary. You can have voluntary enhancements to your consumption of fossil fuels and voluntary reductions. And, by and large, the planet, the humans on the planet are consuming now more fossil fuels than they consumed at the time that they signed the Paris Climate Accords. They volunteered to burn more. That's what they volunteered to do. People volunteered to burn even more fossil fuels. And because there's a market for it, the fossil fuel industry is right there, Johnny on the spot, to pump it out of the ground and refine it and deliver it to the service station and put a price on it so you can do exactly that. They're just feeding a need, and you want them, and they're out there saluting the flag and pumping the crude oil out of the ground, and so you can do what you want to do. And what you want to do is drive your fat diabetic ass to Costco for another case of Cheetos. That's what you want to do. And you're thanking your lucky stars. You're on your knees every night praying to ExxonMobil. Never, ever, ever stop. Never stop. The heat is caused by the fossil fuel industry, which is intentionally lying, distracting, and blocking action. For fuck's sake. I got nothing more to say on this. I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed in Peter Kalmus. I'm disappointed in all you people. And I'm just increasingly convinced that nobody wants action of any kind. And if action ever shows up, if Jesus came down from heaven and said, okay, you're worried about global heating, I am too. And so I have come. God has sent me down here. I wasn't going to do this, but God has sent me down here to save you stupid fuckers. And so I'm going to save you fuckers, and I'm going to leave I'm going to stop the drilling. I'm going to stop the pumping. I'm going to stop the refining, and I'm going and the service stations will run out of fuels eventually, and that's a good thing because that's how you stop global heating. Because global heating is physics, and I'm Jesus, and I know all about it. Okay, he could come down from heaven on a billowy cloud, land right here in the South Bay, and say, okay, I'm going to stop global heating right now by stopping the enhancements to the greenhouse effect. You know what you fuckers would do? You'd grab him, nail him to another cross. Yes, you would. You crucify him. And you'd crucify any Joe Schmo Any Biden or president or Z or emperor or whoever who comes out and says, oh, yeah, we got to stop global heating. We need to leave the fossil fuels on the ground. You'd be nailing that fucker to a cross. You know you would be. You know you would be. You know you would. Because all you care about is the price. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little salty about this, okay? My wife is in the other room laughing her ass off. It's funny as hell. It's tragic and it's stupid. And we are stupid and we're liars and we're gullible. And Trump will convince you that all he has to do is lower the price of gasoline and people will elect him in a landslide. 90% of Americans would vote for Donald Trump if he promised them $3 a gallon gasoline guaranteed. 90% of Americans would vote him into office. And if anyone came along and said, you know, the gasoline probably should be more expensive. If it was more expensive, people wouldn't burn so much of it. They'd be nailing that fucker to a cross. You people, what is wrong with you? I keep coming to the same thing at the end of every video. What is wrong with you people? It is goddamn funny. You really are funny. You people are funny. You crack me up sometimes. Don't forget to like the video. If you don't like it, fuck you. Like it anyway, okay? Like that I'm funny. You know, like that I'm at least speaking truth. Like that it's a great tragedy and people don't know what to do with themselves. Okay? And if you want to hear more of this later, subscribe so that you'll get the same bullshit again tomorrow or later today or whatever I have energy for.